Hello everyone, welcome back. Coach Fury here, and we're back today with my Draft Day Sports Pro 18 Let's Play series, and we're coming off the back of a good season but a disappointing season. We lost to Golden State yet again in the conference finals, couldn't get over the hump, and we've gone through the process of the coach hiring, the draft and the summer league, and we're now into free agency. So before we start talking about free agency, let's just quickly talk about the draft. So you may see here that we picked up a one guy named Austin Berlin in the second round. We didn't hold any first round picks this year. We do have coming up next year a couple of picks, the New York one, which may possibly be a top 10 pick, and the Lakers one, which we have, which is our own. So didn't really want to do an episode on the draft just because we weren't picking anyone up, but we'll take a quick look now and see who the number one picks were. We'll just quickly flick through to that. So you'll see here number one was Phoenix and Jesse Clancy, and Cleveland picked up I don't know how to say that name, but someone from Serbia. So we'll just have a quick look at these guys, see how they look. So he looks like he's going to be a pretty solid player for them. If we take a look across at some of the other guys, what else do we have? Someone in Cleveland who have had a bit of a disappointing set of seasons after LeBron James left them. So that, the draft was fairly strong, just looking at the top two guys, but we didn't have a top pick, so we couldn't get in there. But we did pick up Austin Berlin. I think when I had the scout report, he seemed like an average player, C's across the board, so we just decided to pick him up for a year. I didn't feel it was worth wasting cap on him for any more than a year, because we're probably going to chuck him down in the D League and just see how he gets on there. We can always pick him up again next year. In terms of the free agency, you'll see that we don't have any cap space. We had to renounce all of the various one-year deals that we had. There's no point keeping them. We've still got Sabonis, who we picked up I think last year on a 2-year deal. Yeah, so he's still with us. Hopefully he'll give us a bit more this year. And we picked up Noel, his team option that we had as well, for 12 million. That was again a bit of a no-brainer. So overall, it kind of keeps our starting five as is, of Wall, Beal, Ingram, Noel and Davis. So we'll have a mid-level exception to play with and a low-level exception that we'll try and use to try and bolster up some of the depth on this team. I don't expect us to do anything too drastic in free agency. If we head over here, one of the nice things about playing in the 2018 version is that you get a free agency evaluation, which gives you the top sort of 4 or 5 guys who are heading into free agency and what the chances are of you signing them and what you might need to do to get them. So really helpful in terms of, we've had a couple of seasons where I've weighed up whether to get cap space or not, and we didn't manage to get Harden, I think it was a couple of years ago. We did manage to get Davis through this, but it gives you a better idea of whether it's worth doing that or not. So you can see here that Steph Curry is obviously the top guy in Golden State. Probably expect Golden State to re-sign him to a max contract, but based on that, money isn't his top priority. He wants playing time, so fully expect him to go back where he is. Same with Colt Kostalannis, who's in Dallas. He's again, money's not top priority, but again, we don't have much chance of getting him. Same with Pat Hugh and Jabarian Grant and Andrew Wiggins and some of the other guys here. None of them were interested. They sort of all said from what we've heard that he's looking to play a better talent than what we have, which is surprising considering we won 58 games, but there was no point in us clearing down. And even if we'd have renounced Noel's contract, we still would have only put us 5 million within cap space, so there was no point in keeping hold of that. We do have a big decision coming up this year in terms of Ingram, whether we want to extend him or not. He's been excellent for us, putting up solid numbers, but do we really want to pay him that sort of money? Do we want to look to trade him? I don't know. Obviously we've got John Wall for another 2 years and Davis for another 3, so we've probably got John Wall for the length of his contract till he's 34, and then we'll have a decision there. But in terms of the team going forward, I did sit and think about whether I wanted to sort of blow this team up again, or whether to go with what we have, and I kind of decided to stay with the latter. I think that there's enough talent here. It's just about matchups, and you know, we are competing against probably one of the best teams that has ever come about. So it's difficult, but that means that heading into free agency, we're not going to be targeting obviously some of these top guys. You'll see some of the guys who are on the list are all restricted anyway, so chances of getting them we're going to be limited. For me, I think we want to try and either get someone to help us in the front court. Looking at guys like possibly Nurkic here, who is at Golden State, but you know, good rebounder, solid player, can give us some, you know, added depth there, so we can put them behind Davis and Noel. Because if you remember last year, we had Noel's injury, which kind of stunted us a little bit. Possibly there's also an option of getting another sort of guard player, Chris Middleton or Thompson, but I mean, I think from looking at what they were looking for, they're looking for big, sizable contracts, which I don't think we'd be able to obviously get anywhere near. So heading further down, I mean, we could look at someone like Rubio, but obviously we've got John Wall, so we don't really need that type of player. Enric Nadal might be an option for us. He's a solid post player, good defense, good rebounding. Could possibly try and snag him away. He's still looking for a big deal, but you know, playing time's not a biggie, and he does have some interest with us, so that's another option. There's also Clint Capella, who's coming off, probably never going to be a starter, but he's only looking for 9 million a year, so he's really interested. So we stand a chance of possibly getting someone like him. So there's lots of different options. We're going to try and use our MLE and NLLE exceptions to the best we possibly can. So my initial thoughts are to try and see if we can get, I think if we try and get Capella, I think we could probably get him on a 2-year deal with an option, which we'll try that. So we'll make that team option obviously, because we want to have that sort of cap space probably next year. Could be an option. It also gives us a bit more flexibility, and I think with the low level exception, we will keep that for the time being. I don't expect these guys to sign straight away anyway, but gives us gives us another option when we get to later on in the free agency period. So we'll see what happens. I mean, lots of big guys moving, possibly. So we'll just see what happens really. I mean, we could always change tact and possibly look at Middleton or Thompson if it goes on a few days and they haven't re-signed. So the initial re-signs, LB Lynch has re-signed in Portland. I think he was a restricted agent anyway. Marcus Smart's gone back over to Memphis in a 3-year deal, so he's jumped around quite a lot in this Let's Play. We had him for a period. I think we traded him possibly, so he's gone back round the league again really. So no signings there. Normally see it after a couple of days. See some guys usually start to sign, usually the maximum deals, and then it all kind of starts to fall over. So we'll see. Well, obviously it looks like Capella's not liked our initial offer, so we may have to come back to him. So yeah, Hollis Jefferson's signed in Boston. Milton Richardson's re-signed back up into Brooklyn, so no surprises there. I think he was restricted. Still a lot of big guys on the board though. Oh, Capella's still considering an offer. So no moves there again. Still considering. Interesting to see that none of these guys have actually moved yet. I mean, the restricted ones I don't expect to, but the likes of Wiggins and co, kind of would have expected them. I mean, what's Thompson still looking for 16 million? Middleton still looking for 16 million. What's Nadal looking for? Still 18 million, so still all after sort of the big money. Oh, wow, that's massive. Steph Curry's gone to Brooklyn. Wow, he's walked away from Golden State. Well, that's crazy. So who have Brooklyn got then? They must have made some. So we know they re-signed Milton Richardson, who's a really good scorer. But Steph Curry's gone over there. Wow. That probably puts Brooklyn up into sort of the top 4 seeds within the East straight away. So they've got a 2-way player in Marcus. He was a nice pickup for them in the second round last year. Another 2-way player there as well. They've got Looney, must have moved over. So they still got a couple of gaps there, but that's massive. That leaves, I'm not sure who does that leave at. So Golden State leaves Reggie Jackson as their only point guard. Wow. That could open up the West for us, hopefully. So, big move. So no one else has moved, it looks like. Capella's still considered alpha. All these guys are still after big money, so be interested to see if anyone else goes to Brooklyn now that Steph Curry signed there, whether he can pull someone else over. You know, if they could get Nurkic or something, that would be a really balanced team. So it looks like there's going to be a few offers. It's hanging a little bit. Oh no, just LeBron James. Still going. Wow. He's gone over to Portland. Capella's still considered alpha. I mean, we could look at going for one of these restricted guys, but I think they'll sign. They'll sign big deals. Some of these, because a lot of these are top players. So yeah, he's still looking for 19 million. What's Winslow looking for? 20 million. So I mean, we're probably still not thinking about our low exception yet. I think still need a couple of these guys to fall over really for then it's sort of open up the market a little bit for us. Okay. But I think you know, thinking about last year, I think we've seen that we can generally pick up a backup point guard, a backup shooting guard, small forward, generally on lower deals than the front court guys. They tend to go for a little bit more money on this for some reason, and we need to make sure that we have, you know, decent front court presence, because that is the style we play with obviously Davis there. So when he comes out, we need someone in there. So yeah, I'll look at that. Brooklyn have signed Brooker as well. So that team's shaping up really nicely now. There's a lot of scorers on that team, so I wonder how that will all fit together. But New York have re-signed Jeffrey Laverne, and Toronto have re-signed, so I think they were both restricted agents. So we've still got Jimber and Grant heading around. We're obviously not going to be anywhere near able to afford people like this. But so Klay Thompson's still sitting there. He still wants 16 million though. Same with Chris Middleton. Otto Porter, what you look like. Defense isn't that good. So guys like Lawrence Strong could be serviceable, but I'm not sure what he will demand really. So we've obviously got people like Chris Paul. We could put some money in it. I don't know if he's still got any good defense. Not particularly. Still a lot of guys on the board though. Not many have actually signed deals yet. Still early though, I suppose. It's not even got to the end of July yet, so we shall see. Golden State have got some big questions though. If they lose Nurkic as well, that could really ruin their title chances this year. I mean, they still have Durant and Green, especially for these Thompson as well. My goodness, that team could be decimated. Okay, so no signings there again. Capella's still considering our offer. Well, that's good news for us though. Steph Curry moving on, that really gives us such an opportunity in the West. I mean, we'll have to compete. Golden State will still be there, but we're competing with the likes of Minnesota and Curry, so that's good. So a couple of big signs here. Harrison Barnes got paid. Justice Winslow re-signed, no surprise there. Stanley Johnson's gone back to Oklahoma. Yeah, no surprise. So all these big guys have gone now. Kenneth Faried has gone back to Denver. That was surprising. I thought he'd have moved on. He hasn't exactly had the best time there. So let's have a look. So still wants 16 million. Still wants 16 million. So if their money comes down, then we'll definitely be in the hunt for them. But these guys are still looking for big money, really. Sadler, no, defense isn't good enough, I'm afraid. That's the thing. I think there's a lot of guys who've been drafted in that first draft that we had on here. His defense isn't particularly great, so we don't really want those type of guys. So Watkins, you might be. What's your shooting like? You could be an option for us for our low level exception if your shooting's okay. Yeah, solid. Yeah, we'll throw you in. I think if we make that we can only do 2 years with low level exception, can't we? I think if we throw that in and give him a player option, I think he'd decline that anyway, but I know he wants 17 million, so just worth throwing it in there because he could be solid. Kind of expecting guys to fall now. There's not much salary left, I think, to throw around really. So still Golden State still needs to re-sign Thompson and Nurkic really. Okay, cool. So we've managed to get Capella, which is great news, and a good deal for us really. Pat Hughes gone back to an offer. Oh, it's been signed to an offer sheet, so. Wonder if he gets matched. McConnell's gone back over to Utah, so there's a couple of people moving now. Still after 16 million, so we're obviously not gonna get any of these guys now. I'm still gonna go after Watkins because I think the fact he hasn't signed yet, it might mean that Cleveland don't have any room for him, and you never know. I mean, low-level exceptions always sort of looking at sort of guys just above minimum salary anyway, but so we probably need to sit out a little bit, but we shall see. Surprised Wiggins hasn't signed as well. I'd have imagined Minnesota should have offered him a fairly sizable contract by now. So, okay, so a couple other guys going now. Tobias Harris got paid as well. no surprise on some of those guys. Still leaves a couple of people open though. I mean, obviously we're not going to sign them now. We've got Capella. I mean, but we'll probably have a little look at some minimum salary guys now as well. I mean, I'd take Chris Paul on a minimum deal. Take Bucky Harrison. You could come in on a minimum deal, certainly. Same with Conley. I'd offer you a minimum deal. Thompson, he could be helpful for us. I mean, trying to think, who else do we have? We had Corey Joseph, didn't we? He was a fairly decent point guard for us. So we can have a look, see if we can find him as well. He is. We'll offer you a minimum contract. Probably Bembry as well. I think he was a bit erratic, but he was solid. Try and bring back some of the guys I know are half decent for us. Probably need a wing player, that's the problem. I mean, we could... I don't think we'd get someone like Otto Porter, but... I mean, some of these guys are still, you know, not re-signed. We could throw a restricted guy. It's because their defense is very good. That's why they're kind of sitting around, I think. Stokes, oh yeah, you were fairly good for us. You can come back. We need a wing guard player, really. That's the thing. You just can't play defense, so that's the problem. I need guys who can play there. No point having someone who's a good scorer if they can't stop the opposing guy. I mean, Anthony Barkley, 57, he might be serviceable. You're not exactly that good though, are you? Just trying to think here, we could just put a low level exception on there. I mean, might as well try it. I mean, it's only half one. Only decent wing player left, really. Just do a 2-year deal. We can always dump him for 3 million. I'm sure someone would pick up Otto Porter for that, but I fully expect him not to sign that anyway. So it's probably slightly early for some of these minimum salary guys to sign. So we may have to go back and revisit this in a couple of days on this, but it's worth getting in early with some of them because depending on age and stuff, they might panic and might re-sign with us. So still got, in terms of names, I mean, Wiggins, Porter, Thompson, Middleton, Nurkic, probably the best guys left. I mean, Rubio still a serviceable starting point guard. The likes of Scholl and Wilson, the restricted agents, I think the reason they're not signing is because their defense looks like they've got some good other attributes, but difficult to pick up someone like that on if you're looking to throw big money at. Okay, so it looks like a couple of guys have re-signed. So Golden State have managed to keep Thompson, which will certainly help them. Bobby Portis has gone to Indiana. Cantor's picked up a big deal. Tristan Thompson signed quite a big 2-year deal with Toronto. Okay. So the guys with minimum salary still considering. Porter's still considering his offer. I mean, we could. I mean, I expect Nurkic to sign, but we'll just, because I mean, if we can get, it's always worth throwing in it. If we offer him just a 2-year minimum salary deal with a player option, it's always worth just trying it just to just to see if we can tempt him, or just. I mean, Golden State should be signing him, and he should be signing a fairly sizable contract. But the fact he hasn't yet probably means that Golden State it must be really, really over the luxury tax, and then their owners have finally said they're not going to pay it, because they were paying stupid salary. But losing Steph Curry has probably made them think twice about what direction they want to go in. Okay, so a couple of tender offers signed there. Yeah, okay, so a couple of minimum salary deals. Chris Bosh still going. Not sure what he can add now. Must be nearly 40 on this. Brian Oliver's gone back to Detroit on a 1 year tender offer. Pat Hugh, the other big name, looks like he's had to take a bit of a pay cut there. But only 4 years, so he's probably hoping that in 4 years' time comes out there'll be some more salary around for him. So I might throw enough for Bertans as well, because I know that he can probably play small forward as well. I know he's 6'10", but there's a possibility there. Nadal, I'm surprised hasn't been picked up, so we'll throw an offer his way. And Wiggins, why not? Just because we can say we have. So I mean, in terms of us, I mean, we need a backup guard. We probably need a wing player, because Austin Berlin's going to go to the D-League. Probably another front court player, and it's just a case of bench guys. So it's 29th of July, so a few days before the end of free agency anyway, so still a lot of things can happen. If we get someone like Conley or Paul, or someone as a backup point guard, that would be fine, because I mean they only need to play 10 minutes at most with John Wall being there. So even with Chris Paul's poor defense now, he's still got good handling ability, which will help us. Even in 10 minutes, we can put him so he plays against the equivalent bench player, so it won't be as big an issue. See, Vernon Kirkland's still there, the guy that we picked up in the draft. He hasn't been picked up with anyone. I think that's just because his shooting was so bad. Okay, so Wiggins has finally re-signed with Minnesota. Chris Paul signed a big 1 year offer for Indiana. Bertans has again signed a good deal with the Clippers. Ish Smith we were not looking at. Green's gone. McCall's signed a big deal with Cleveland, so he's moved as well. I think he was at Golden State, so a couple of 2 year deals it looks like. And then a couple of big deals there for the Fleming and Cook there. And Lopez managed to get a big deal as well. So let's have a look. What does that leave us in terms of guys we were after? So we've still got Bucky Harrelson, Corey Joseph, Ben Brees, Conley, Porter. Porter's still there, I can't believe that. And Nadal's still there. If we picked up Porter and Nadal for just under $6 million, I'd be amazed. So in terms of other guys, I think we'll probably give Marcus Morris a little nudge, just because I know he can play defence, and he'll be solid as a sort of backup small forward for us. Galen Goyton, I don't even know who that is. Must have been a regen guy. I wonder what he looks like. Seems fairly solid. What's his stats? He's not a great shooter though, is he? We could pick up Bradley. I know that Avery Bradley is a fairly solid guard player, so we could perhaps offer him a 1 year deal. So we've got a couple of wing guys we're looking at. a couple of point guards. Eric Green will offer you a deal as well. And Hannah Gomez as well, you can have a minimum salary offer from us. So we'll see how that looks. Who's this Jamal Martin? Looks like he's got a fairly good defence, fairly good all round. Could perhaps pick him up. I'm not sure what he needs to check his shooting numbers, but he looks fairly good. Oh, that's pretty ugly. But he's scoring. He's not terrible. He just needs to stop shooting a 3-pointer. All right, I'll offer you a 1-year deal. Just we can develop you. We can send you down. I think we might be able to send him down. We might not be able to. He's played 5 years, so possibly not. But if he can play defence, that could be a possibility. We tend to play a little bit of isolation basketball anyway, and most of the shots will be from Davis and Wolf. So as long as he's playing with one of them, he shouldn't get too many shots, which might restrict that shooting, that poor shooting ability he has. There's nothing else really left that I would say that we need to actively chase. I mean, if we got Porter, that'd be amazing for just 3 million. Like, even if his defense isn't that great, he's still a solid player. He can score, he can pass, he can steal fairly well, I think, as well. So if we manage to pick him up, that'd be an amazing pickup for us. But mainly just need guys who can come in and be specialists really for us at this point in the free agency. Okay, so we didn't get Bucky Harrelson, he's gone there. Didn't get Gomez. Porter's fined 3 years, 35 million, so that's a fairly good offer for him in the end, because he was the only one left. Nadal signed a big deal, so Thaddeus Young's gone to Golden State. So it looks like we lost out on a few people there. That's fine though. So we've still got Avery Bradley, Joseph, Bembry, Green, Stokes, Morris, Conley and Martin. So we probably need another front court player to have a go at. So Lopez, you could probably do a year with us. So we do have our low exception back. So we could use that on someone. I mean, we probably want to use that on a wing player. He's 7'4", this guy. I'm not even going to look at his stats. We'll offer you something. So we could offer that out to Conley, because we could play Conley and Wall in a backcourt. So we could try that. And we'll obviously make that a player option. Again, I think that's easy enough for us to move if we ever needed to. So we'll try that, see if that works. I think he had favourites Dallas because Harden, if he, he's got Harden and Quits the next gen guy, so in Dallas, but we might be able to pry him away from Dallas. Although I imagine the prospect of playing in a James Harden backcourt's quite enticing to him, but we'll try. So it's 31st July, so there's only a couple of days of free agency left, and we need to get probably about another 7 players on minimum deals to bring that roster to full 15. I like to try and keep it at full 15 because of injuries, and you can always cut guys. It's more difficult to get talent than it is just to have something you can use. So we kind of found that out with Joseph last year when John Wall got injured in the first round and we had to play him. You can still get serviceable guys as long as you're looking for the right type of thing. interesting. Vernon Kirkland's still, oh, I was going to say still round, but okay, so OKC picked up Eric Green with their MLE, it looks like. We didn't get Stokes, he's gone for just above the LLE exception. Morris has gone to Dallas. Kirkland signed a good deal for him in the end, 2 years at 16. That's a mid-level exception. Okay, so how does that leave everything? So Conley hasn't signed, so we do have a chance there. Same with Bradley. I mean, I don't know what Carmelo Anthony looks like now, but he's not particularly great, is he? Still got some scoring ability. See what his shooting numbers are like. Probably atrocious. Not terrible. If we just want him to come in and shoot, I mean, that could be a possibility. We'll have you for a year, why not? Finally get his chance to be in LA. So only 3 days left now, which means that we should start to see some guys move now. Churning away all the, there's going to be a whole host of deals I think for this one. A lot of guys moving on minimum deals I think. I mean, looking at some of the guys that are on there, I mean, we've had Zizic, I think we had Crab at one stage, so a couple of guys who, yeah, Crab signed a mid-level exception. We've managed to get Avery Bradley, which is a good signing, Carmelo Anthony as well, and Corey Joseph, and Bembry. And Robin Lopez, that's good. So we've tied up the front court. Conley's gone. He took a 1 year $4 million offer. We didn't get him, but that's fine. We picked up Joseph. So who are we looking? What's our roster looking like now? So, Beal, Bradley, Joseph, Bembry. So we've got a bunch of guards. We've picked up Carmelo Anthony and Lopez. So that's looking fairly strong. I would like to get probably another front court guy. So we only got 3 really, 3 or 4 to play with. Trying to think, we could pick up someone like Deadman, who's just a defensive brute. We do have a low exception we could use if there's the right type of guy out there. Trying to think what type of guy we actually want. So let's just filter it by defense. Let's just see who we've got. And we want anyone who's over 2. Just to try and clear out some of the junk that's in there. Right, what have we got? Thon Maker. Oh, Bismarck Biyombo's still around. We could pick him up, he would be a nice pickup. And Gilchrist Kidd could be an option. So I think what we'll do is we'll offer Biyombo our low level exception. We'll give Gilchrist Kidd I'm not sure if he's got many other stats apart from defense, but we'll pick him up because defensive wing's always handy. And we'll offer you a minimum. Yeah, we'll go with that. Let's see if we can get those two, and then that's shaping up. I mean, this might be some quite good depth in this team now. I think different type of front court players, defense all over. It's just a case of whether whether the balance is still there. I'm still not convinced about Bill being our shooting guard, and that's been a position that's plagued us for the entire Let's Play really, ever since we lost Clarkson. We traded him away, so difficult to try and get an upgrade there because of he's okay, he's an average player, but that's probably the only position in terms of that starting five that I'd really want to upgrade. Okay, so still some big money being thrown around. Jarrell Martin, who we looked at earlier on, has gone to Houston for a 2-year deal. Hazon just signed a 2-year deal. So we've managed to pick up Gilchrist Kidd and Biumbo. That's a good signing. So plenty of front court defence now, which is good. And we've got guys who can play point guard if need be. So we could always pick up someone like Deladova, I guess. I know it's probably not the best, but in terms of just someone who just can play shooting guard, play point guard. Oh, okay, the roster's full. Okay, so I think that's our roster set then. So let's go and have a quick look. Okay, yeah, so John Wall, Bradley, that's fairly decent. I'm happy with that. There's plenty of depth, plenty of ability there. We'll just get past these couple of days on free agency, and I think next time we'll come back, we'll probably let's see if we can get through this. Actually, let's see if we can advance this, because I know it's hanging a little bit because of free agency seems to be a drain on the computer when you're running some recording software as well. But I'm happy with that team. That's probably the deepest team we've had, in terms of we've got guys who can score, guys who can defend, play multiple positions, which is key. One of the difficulties we had last year when we had injuries was we were having to throw some guys out of position possibly, so that's a big plus. I'm really happy that we've managed to get Biumbo and Capella as our front court, because now we've got guys we can throw in there in terms of resting Noel and Davis if we have injuries. I mean, Robin Lopez is probably still serviceable. Looking at the guard positions, we've got plenty of ability there in Bill and Bradley and the likes of Ingram. I mean, Carmelo Anthony's probably not going to play many minutes, but we know, looking at his scoring percentages, he can still shoot the ball pretty well, which means in dead time that's always handy. So yeah, just a bunch of guys picking up minimum deals now or exception deals. So we've got one more day to go through on this. But yeah, not nobody else we really want to pick up. We do have, like I said, a couple of draft picks this year that we can always use if we think we're close and we see at trade deadline there's people available. So we will try that if it's an option. But I'm happy now. I mean, brilliant that Steph Curry's moved over to the East and leaves Golden State open. I mean, I guess in terms of threat, they'll still be there with the likes of Minnesota and who else we got? Minnesota and Dallas, obviously with James Harden and a couple of guys there. So still lots of competition in the West. It'll still be a tough conference, but the fact they've lost one of their sort of Hall of Famer All-Star players is brilliant for us, because that means that we probably have one of the deepest and one of the best talented teams in the West now. So it looks like that's the end of free agency. So I'll just put up the roster. I think next time what I'll do is I'll sim through probably till January, sort of February time, see how we get on. Unless there's anything major that comes up, I'll stop there and post a video. But I mean, I'm delighted with this team. I think there's depth, talent. You can see we've got we've actually got 3 Kentucky guys now in this team, 2 Texas, 4 Kentucky guys. So we're basically a semi-Kentucky team. But we'll see how we get on. Should be great. As always, guys, if you enjoyed the video, hit the like and subscribe button. If you've got any thoughts in terms of the team, is this good enough? Do we need to make anything more drastic? Always interested to hear that as well.